Hello, my name is Michael Evans.
For Adobe,
Which children?
we got it in order this time.
Yes. So, we've just finished playing the Fantasy Trips Melee, a game that came out in 1977.
And it shows.
Yes, you have options to do. Now, this eventually spawned a role-playing game. And the next supplement for it was Wizardry, where you had magic added into it. But this is basically just two people with weapons fighting it out.
What's the plot for the role-playing game? Is it just gladiator? You're a
No,
gladiator trying to get
it's a
free?
full. You have dungeons and things like that.
Okay.
There's even a few programmable ones.
That might be funner.
Well, that would be much different. This is basically this basic game. Two people walk into an arena, one walks out.
Or 4 people, or 6 people, or...
No, that's when you add on to the basic game. We added on to the basic game by doing 2 teams of 2.
There's also an advanced rule where if you're 2 players, each player can get 6 characters.
Yes.
Never play one-on-one in this game.
When I started with it, as I kickstarted it, I got this pack of,
Well
a
done.
bunch of fighter cards. And it basically says just deal 3 of these to each player and go to town in the arena. All pre-generated. Not necessarily maxed out though. This time we created our own characters.
Well, some of us did. Others copied.
Yes. So we had 2 clones versus 2 people who took different strategies.
It still did not help.
Basic problem with this game is once you're engaged in hand-to-hand combat, unless you do something really weird, you're basically just rolling dice against each other, trying to roll under your modified dexterity and doing damage to the person's strength.
You see, I don't mind this game. I wouldn't mind this game so much if people were playing equally powered characters, or people were playing, or See, I'm not invested enough to make my own character, so I'm not invested enough to learn the rules enough to make a balanced characters. But if you add balanced characters, and it's a great strategy game.
Yes.
It's a great tactical game.
Well, no. What we really wanted to do is everybody wanted to play archers.
Yeah, unfortunately,
In order to be an archer, you have to have dexterity and have to have a high strength to be able to hold up your bow.
to hold up a crossbow, you need to have a 15 strength and a 14 dexterity if you want to fire it every turn. You can only do that if you've won several battles already. Basic game, you start with 8 in your dexterity, 8 in your strength. You have 8 more points to play with. You can put them all in one and be 16-8. Put them all in the other and be 8-16, or any combination thereof. But there was no way a starting character can get crossbow firing every turn. Every battle you win, you get 100 XP, and each 100 XP basically translates into a +1 to your stat, up to 18. So, in theory, you win a lot of bits, you become an experienced fighter, and then you're firing off your heavy crossbow every round, and people are going, oh. Now, this is the map that came with the Kickstarter, and these are the counters that came, basically. The map that the basic game uses has one big difference. Well, technically 2 big differences. Where it's a slightly smaller scale, and there are no columns to hide behind.
And paper.
And it's paper, and if you do the wrong things, you can do things like that. Oh, that intersection just popped up. That would have tossed. Basically, it's a paper map that's almost exactly like the map we were using, only a slightly smaller scale, and there are no columns to hide behind. So, using this map, bowmen are much more effective. But even still, you can build a character that basically goes, oh, firing a longbow at me, doesn't matter. I have enough armor protection to avoid it. Back to my impressions of it. I like this game. It's very simple. But too much of it would cause problems. It's basically, unless you have at least 2 or 3 people fighting out to give you a strategy you can use, it basically becomes who can roll the dice better, and who has more defensive points, and who does more damage. All sorts of different weapons you can have, all sorts of different armor that does various things. But basically, we'll come down to dice rolls at times, and of course, the bell curve is very important for this. You're rolling 3d6. You have to get under modified dexterity, and that means if you have modified dexterity above 12, you're hitting most of the time. If you have it below 9, you're missing most of the time. The game we played, they were rolling against dexterity 8.
Yep.
See, I don't mind the game. The game's fine. It's fine every once in a while. I'll never be interested enough to make my own characters, but every once in a while I might play with pre-generated characters where we're getting like 1 or 2 copies each, and we're playing like teams. Like say, like 2 to 4 characters in a team. That I wouldn't mind that too much, but like I say, I'll probably never be invested enough to actually go and make my own characters. Although one of the big things is the rules are very obscure, and like I say, we had an argument in the game
Yes.
in which it turned out Richard Hobe and I were right and Richard Schultz was wrong.
Yes, because basically it gives you various options you can do during the game. If you're disengaged, you can do this set of options, basically A through G. And when I was looking at what engaged figures could do, I looked at M, which seems to be an exact copy of E, but I really should have looked at Q.
Now, the game is simple enough, but the rules are written so convoluted that it makes it seem more difficult. And like I say,
It could have.
reading the rules, I tend to reading or having the rules read to me, I tend to zone out for this game. It's one of those games where you can get a fan-made rule book where it was simplified and it was more streamlined. Exact same game, just worded better. I would probably be more engaged and more likely to to make characters. But
Yeah, the rules not necessarily put together in the most logical order, but it was published in 1977, before most other role-playing games other than Dungeons and Dragons, and what eventually evolved into the Fantasy Trip is much better organized as far as combat and things like that go.
if they had cleaned up the rule book, I probably would have enjoyed the game a lot more. I liked it more with the minis rather than the chits. Standees would have been good for this game too. But really, if you want standees, you can get like little plastic bases and put little chits in there because they're thick enough they can go in a standee holder.
But this was basically a reconstruction of the game from 1977.
Like I said, it would have been more appealing if it was cleaned up. It was a cleaned up version rather than just a straight up reprint.
See, what I don't like about it is say you're playing an archer. Your bow's a long bow. You're going against a guy who's melee. He gets right up to you, so he can hit you. You can't fire your back. All he has to do is drop his weapon and charge you with his little dagger, which is not his weapon, to still do enough damage to kill you. And then you're still not able to do anything because his dexterity is high enough to be able to do what he needs to do.
Okay.
And you're a melee fighter with a...
Again, that comes more with knowledge of the game.
Yes.
Yeah.
Knowledge of the game.
Like I say, if you can get invested enough in the game to want to make a character and want to have to look over these things, but the rule book, I find that is a very big barrier to entry in this game.
A lot of the weapons are made for advanced characters, not for beginning characters.
Yes. One thing to remember is your modified dexterity is more important than anything else. Your strength decides how much, what weapons you can use. But your modified dexterity is how often you hit, and unless that's good on the bell curve, well, you got fantastic ability to do damage if you hit.
Like I say, a cleaned up rulebook would make this game a lot better, and I'm pretty sure it was if you get a cleaned up rulebook, like I say, this would be a much more popular in the mainstream board game hobby. Right now, it's basically meant for the people who played it back when it was originally came out,
Or couldn't afford to buy it then.
Yeah, but basically, it was meant for the people who were fans of it then, not for new fans now, and that's my problem with it.
Yeah, well.
But like I say, it's not bad. It's just badly
Dated.
written.
It's from the 1970s, and has the classic wargaming approach to things as opposed to anything associated with role-playing games.
Or modern board games. Basically, it's from the 70s, and you can tell.
Yes, it is a bit dated, but I enjoyed it until we got to the point where we were just rolling dice and hoping to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I say, if you can make if you were invested enough to make your characters to actually get deeper into the character creation. If you're not invested enough, give everyone like if there's 2 players, give everyone 3 characters. If there's 2 players, 4 players, give everyone 2 characters, and have teams of 4. And that way you have people to back up the people who can get tanks to back up the ones who can do more damage but can't take the damage.
Mm-hmm. But you know, if we played it more, we'd probably discover different variants and different.
Yeah, it's one of those ones. The more you play it, the more you get into it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, I don't think we're ever going to be. I don't think Richard Hobie or I, or Player X. I don't know. Oh, never mind. Player X does like it.
Yes.
So, like I say, there's a possibility. Like I say, Player X, Richard Shilton would get into it enough to actually learn all these strategies. I would probably, if my arm was twisted, I would probably play it more. I would be willing to play it more. Richard Hobie, however, I don't think would. So, like I say, it's one of those things.
I might want to try the role-playing game, but
Yeah, the fantasy trip itself is basically builds on this, adding the magic and all sorts of other things, and does not have. You may do option A, B, C, D, etc.
But in all honesty, I don't personally recommend this game unless you were a fan of it back in the day.
Well, the other thing is it's really fast.
It doesn't feel that when you're playing, and like I say, if you're not invested enough to make the characters, and other people are, and they've made better characters, and you didn't.
oh look, I rolled another 15.
It does not feel quick at all.
Going from needing to roll high to needing to roll low all the time is kind of a mind trip. That's why Player X likes it and wins. Because he always rolls low at every game.
Well, beyond that, it's not rolling d20 because a d20, each number is equally likely to
Well,
come
not
up.
even that. Like a lot of board games, you roll 6s, but you
Yeah.
want high.
Yeah.
Like I say, it's not. I'm more comparing this to other board games and role playing
Yeah.
games.
Mhm.
So, like I say, because we're looking, like say, I'm looking at it from a board game point of view, at least.
Because
And
it's not a role play. It's
No, it's not.
kind of like
You can
very
name
badly done BattleTech.
You can name your, well, BattleTech would have been inspired by this partly.
Yeah.
And you can name your pieces. That's what they refer to, not as characters, but as pieces. That's how old this game is. They tell you to name your pieces, which is things like this. And after the opinion video is over, I'll tell these two why they lost.
oh, I know
Yeah,
why I
Belker.
lost. I know why. Well, I know why. Especially know why I lost because I didn't bother even
Yes.
make my own character. I know why Richard lost because he was trying to min max without knowing the rules enough to min max.
I was trying to get an archer, but we couldn't get archers.
min max.
And strength really does nothing other than being able to give you more damage.
Yes.
But
Or no, it doesn't even give you more damage.
it
allows
takes more
you-
damage.
It allows you
allows
to
you
use a
to-
weapon.
It allows you to use more damaging weapons. But anyway, those are our opinions.
So yeah, it's like I say, Richard Hovey does not recommend it at all. I don't recommend it unless you were a fan of it originally, or you're willing to put the time into trying to learn or a really outdated rule set.
24 pages, and that counts the cover page and the 2-page example of play at the back. So it's not a huge thing to learn, but it could be better put together. But yeah.
And Richard Shilton and Player X, both very. I don't know if Player X recommends it, but he enjoys it.
It's a good way of killing a few minutes because it's,
Well, again, the game only took us an hour or half an hour.
yes.
It felt like hours, especially near the end.
But that was with 4 people who's playing a different one, and a lot of, what should I do now?
No, even no, that was the fun part.
Okay.
Like, what should I do now? Should I move here and do this? No, it's once we start. Actually, once the combat started, is when it got boring for me.
Yes.
Yeah, it was really boring when you devise your strategy. Oh, I got rid of his main weapon. Oh, now he's just gonna attack me with his dagger and win.
Yeah, but like again, that's because they Player X and Richard Shilton planned better, and they were more invested in the game than we
Yes.
were.
A guy with a morning star should beat a guy with a dagger.
It's true. But yeah, I think we're talking circles now.
Yes.
So that's our feelings on Melee. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.
Okay. All right. Remember to like, subscribe, comment, check out our Facebook and all the other stuff.